one lesson which we all learning is that technology is moving faster than you anticipate. So your product development cycle cannot be, or your acquisition cycle cannot be more than product development cycle.
Right.
Otherwise, what you are acquiring would be obsolete or obsolescent by the time you acquire it. Today, if you take a look, everybody in MEA and everybody in defense is ready to promote exports. They are going out of the way. I think in an unstable world, we are sitting in a very stable country. Fighting a war is going to be a very costly phenomena for any country. So what is the next alternative? Avoid war. And how do you avoid war? You should be so strong that nobody comes to you with a war. You cannot win wars with others' equipment. You have to win your wars with your own equipment.
Hello and welcome to BharatShakti Dialogues, our monthly feature that involves longer and long format discussion with specialists in defense and of course some of the technologies. That is something that we have tried to focus on. And you've seen earlier the Principal Scientific Advisor speaking to us, former Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chaudhary speaking to us. But today we are privileged to have Mr. Rajinder Bhatia, who you have seen as somebody who represents Bharat Forge in our conclaves in the past. But today he is here in the capacity of the President of SIDM, or Society for Indigenous Defense Manufacturers. Welcome to this program.
Thank you, Nitin. Thank you so much.
So, this is a larger role that you've taken over in the past 1.5 years or so. As president of SIDM. SIDM is a body that represents Indian defense companies.
Correct. And
lobbies for them and does policy work for the Ministry of Defense. So tell us that post Operation Sindoor, there has been a lot of talk about how this year of defense reforms 2025, which the ministry had declared, also dovetails into what improvements are needed in India's procurement acquisition system, India's policies on defense procurement. Where are we at the moment? How do you see this?
So, Nitin, very relevant question. Before Op Sindoor was actually undertaken, the year of reforms was already announced. That was part of the process to really give the second wind. I am not saying they were dying, but to give it a little extra push to the Indian private industry and Indian industry complex to come up and move to the second stage. If you take a look at the growth of Indian defense industry, over the last 5 years, we have been growing at about 10 to 12% year on year. This year, if you see, which is 24-25, which is ended on 31st March, our total revenue has touched about 1,40,000 crores, or a little more than that. But on the exports front, the growth has been much higher. If you take a look from where we were 7 years ago, it will be 13x. But from where we are in last few years, a 20% year-on-year growth is quite evident. Now, once you have reached a certain level, which is what we say, when the base is small, the growth is much faster. But when the base becomes wide, the growth will have to be a little slower, and it needs a next set of reforms to actually start pushing it.
Right.
So when somebody said year of reforms, it is not that we have not been reforming. 2014 onwards till in last about 10 years, there have been a major change. But you need probably some course correction. You need some ideas to be brought in which can make the whole process much better. Just to give you an example, in 2002, the defense procurement procedure was a document which consisted of just about 20 pages. It was secret in nature.
Sure.
And the loss of it or public display of that document, you would be charged under Official Secret Act.
Sure.
Roll back to 2025, and not only that the document is on web, but you are able to communicate with industry, you are talking to stakeholders, you are discussing with them what can be done better. But on the flip side, that 20 pages are now 1,000 plus pages.
Yeah, that's sign of good bureaucracy actually.
Yes, to some extent, yes. But to another extent, the more you write, the more you tie yourself in knots because your flexibility goes away.
Exactly.
So what now we are recommending, and one of the ideas which discussion came up, that we could have a master document, not so large, containing all the salient features, which of course over a period of time with the economy, the kind of growth which we are seeing, and then you could have an addendum to it, which were like explanatory notes. So you are not bound yourself with all the 1,000 pages. Maybe you are
They
bound
can
with
be
the
annexures, the
APG.
rest of it can be annexures.
But Nitin, I wanted to say we generally are very fond of running down our own country. We say our acquisition systems are very large, but word over. And take a look at the United States of America, which is the largest manufacturer of weapons. Their average acquisition cycle has moved from 8 years to 11 years. So it is not that
For large
particular-
platforms especially, yes.
So large, complex technology platform, it is going to be long. But the key point is how can we bring it shorter or make it shorter? Because there is a very compulsive driver for it, and I would like to mention that.
Yeah.
See, one lesson which we all learning is that technology is moving faster than you anticipate. So your product development cycle cannot be, or your acquisition cycle cannot be more than product development cycle.
Right.
Otherwise, what you are acquiring would be obsolete or obsolescent by the time you acquire it. So the need is maybe the complex major platforms will still be little longish, but rest of the platforms, the smaller technological development products must be finished in a period of 20 to 24 months so that you do not go into the obsolescence
You're not
phase.
behind the curve.
So
most
you're
of the
not
time.
behind the curve. Otherwise, you will never have state-of-the-art equipment.
Right.
So that is one particular driver which is there.
Sure. So before we move on, let me introduce my colleagues who are also part of this kind of round table that we conduct. This is Ravi Shankar, who works with BharatShakti. You know Nilanjana Banerjee, of
Well.
course, and that's Huma Siddiqui.
I know very well.
She contributes to us, but now part of our team.
Whom has interviewed me in 2014 and then
She was with Financial Express
Yes, she
earlier.
was Financial Express and then later in I think Caro Show.
Yes.
So twice.
Somewhere.
It has been done.
And of course, you've
Hi,
met
Huma.
the other two. Nilanjana has been part of our conclave
Yes.
last 10 years.
Long.
So that way. So I thought we'll bring them in also because they will also have some thoughts, ask you
Oh,
some of the
perfect.
things. So Ravi, over to
Yeah.
you and then...
I just want to ask one thing. The DAP reforms is undergoing, and from SIDM, what kind of proposals you have sent to them, or government asked you to from industry to represent, and what kind of reforms do you want? Just a bullet point, big reforms.
So basically, if you see what are the pain points with industry? If you were to take a look at the pain points of industry, they would revolve around the fact that the time taken is long. The payment processes are not aligned to what they were for the foreign vendor. The trial processes are maybe little more complex and duplicated in natures. There also most of the things in acquisition cycle are serial in nature. Can we make them? So our end result where what we would be asking is, industry will ask, they'll mange more. So you will continue to ask for more and more changes which are beneficial. Of course, we all understand there will be certain requirements of, statutory nature, certain financial prudence nature. You will have certain, government financial rule, GFRs. So within those scope, how can we work and make it a more practical document? Now, industry's recommendations are in various parts. The first part starts, if you take a look at acquisition cycle, it starts from pre-RFP, RFP, the trial phase, contracting phase and post-maintenance, which is post-contract. So at RFP phase itself, we expect that whole thing could be condensed. Maybe there is a collegiate which takes care rather than 26 stakeholders independently taking a look at the RFP. So RFP formulation could be cut short. The second part is that RFP itself could give out certain committees which were to be formed at a later date. So they will save time. You could have a technical evaluation committee as part of RFP. You could have the CNC committee, if not by name, at least by designation, as part of RFP. And you could also spell out the timelines which you expect the acquisition to be completed. Now, these are some of the recommendations. Let's see what can be done.
What kind of timeline are you looking at?
See, question is, it will depend upon platform to platform. If I am going for a advanced or a major platform like say a FRCV, futuristic tank, or a battleship carrier, I don't expect that kind of acquisition to finish in 24 months. But any smaller item must finish in 20 to 24 months. In fact, if you go back and take a look at DAP 2020, which is in vogue, even that DAP says 36 months as the acquisition cycle.
No, so that is one timeline. What I suppose we also need to know is the new DAP or the amended DAP or the upgraded DAP. What is the timeline to get that implemented?
I am coming to that. So for smaller systems, why not keep a cap of 24 months? So all you are saying is from 36 to 24.
Yeah. So
but we have to be reasonable. Larger platform, technologically complex platforms will take longer time. But other platforms, we can make it much smaller. Secondly, it could be that if a equipment has already been inducted, those timelines can be much further reduced. The second part which comes up is the post-RFP, which is predominantly around technical evaluation. Now, this technical evaluation, if the committee is formulated at the RFP time, this timeline can be cut short. Currently, this timeline may be 3 months to 6 months, but we can reduce it to month and a half. After all, this is a paper evaluation. Then we come down to trials. Now, in trials, right now you have summer, winter, you have DGQA, you have MET, you have all kinds of trials. Now, why do maintenance evaluation and DGQA trial on everybody? First do user trials, see the selected vendors and only take them for maintenance trial. Why you want to do for a equipment which is not even passed, why do you want to do DGQA and maintenance trials?
If I ask time limits for the trials?
See, it's very difficult to give a timeline by me. I would want that follows some of the foreign procurements we have done, which trials finished in 90 days. But yes, everything including acceptance. But what we are saying is that we are today bound by rules. So you have summer trial, winter trial. Now winter, if you have to do at -20 may occur only for 2 days in a year. Now if in those 2 days, suppose you have an issue, you are finished for 1 year.
You have to wait for 1 more year.
It gets postponed by
Same thing, if you go to Pokhran and if you want to do at 40 degrees and above in desert, will only be available for 90 days at the most. Out of which, if there is a windy day or a rain, you cut down to 30 to 40 days. How many equipment you need to try in those 30-40 days? So what we need is, we need to create more testing facilities. We need to use, why can't we have a system of environmental chambers?
simulated.
No, it's actual. So you load the equipment in, let it come to -30, -25, take it out, take the chamber out, let the equipment fire when it is at -20 and check.
Yeah. No, so this is innovative.
So innovative thought process is what we are saying. At no stage, industry believes that user should not test the equipment. We do not say that do not satisfy
yourself. It's a matter
yourself.
of India's defense and
it is a matter
security.
of defense, and we respect our users' viewpoint that they would like to test the equipment before they are burdened with it.
Sure.
So we do not deny that part, but we are saying is, secondly, why do everything in a sequential manner? We could have done some activities in parallel manner. Like for example, of course, there will be a problem which industry will face then. They could ask for 2 equipments. Now, in smaller equipments, it's highly possible to give 2. But in a very expensive equipment, making 2 prototype will be a big burden. So it works both ways. I think you have to have a balanced approach.
Practical approach,
Practical approach to it. Otherwise, we'll end up, doing something which will not satisfy both the parties.
That's true. So, Uma, your thought on this?
Yeah, you're talking about the trials and cutting down the time, and you're also talking about how foreign companies or industries are carrying out this, or the government.
I am reinforcing the idea that we need to be novel in approach Rather than, if
So,
it is to be tested at minus 20, by all means test at
So
minus
novel,
20.
novel in approach. That means I need to have that kind of a system here in the
Infrastructure,
country.
yes.
So to get that infrastructure, I need to invest more.
Government will have to have more testing.
I'll
in
come
this.
to that.
Ah.
Now I am going to quote Defense Secretary. I am not quoting myself. I dare not quote that.
Yeah.
He himself made a mention that our acquisition system needs revamping. I'll not use the exact word he used because coming from him is different than coming from
Yes.
Right.
He said
right,
broker.
Right.
I will
right,
say this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he
yeah,
said it's broken.
yeah.
Raksha Mantri announced even before Sindoor, year of reforms. Why? See, the issues, they all realize there are issues which need to be corrected. And nothing in this business can be done overnight. It takes time. It is step-by-step approach. You cannot just, wish away the requirements of the armed forces. After all, people in uniform are going to use it. It is as important for the equipment to perform well as their confidence that the equipment is good.
Correct.
We would like them to have full confidence. And for that, whatever testing is required to be done, please do it. Yeah. My point is, let's create more infrastructure. Let's start. If you take a look, and now let me answer you we talk about Viksit Bharat.
Right.
We are talking about our budget today. It's 6,80,000 crores, somewhere around, little less than 7. If our economy continues to grow what we are growing at, and if our budget, which is growing at about 9.2% for last 23 years, continues to grow at that rate, and you can go back, you can check the line. I've done that many times. By 2047, this budget would be 7 times the budget of today. So 6 lakh crores is going to become 40 lakh crores at the least expectation. Even prediction by CIPRI is in excess of 40 lakh crores. Now, if you're going to spend this kind of money, you need 2 things in place. One is that you need modern infrastructure, modern testing places, and secondly, Defense Secretary also made a comment. And again, it is his words. Today, I don't even have ability to spend.
Absorption is not.
Absorption is the biggest problem. So even if you increase the budget from 1,80,000 acquisition, if you increase it to 3,60,000, do we have the capacity to absorb?
That's a very important point because a lot of people keep talking about that our budget is inadequate, it is less than 2% of the GDP. But that spending ability and the trial cycle doesn't really match in that sense. So I think that's a key point people must understand. When dealing with defense, unlike other sectors, it's a different ball game.
It's a different ball.
Completely. Yeah.
So again, you can't compare this with infrastructure. We need infrastructure. You have a vacant area, go and make a road, bridge. What equipment I have to make, users have to take it. He has to get rid of his old equipment. There's a time for his induction, time for learning to run that equipment. And all these cycles
you have to get comfortable with that equipment.
All these cycles need to be
These are
matched.
there. So, 1 minute. Nilanjana, your thoughts.
I just had one thought. One of the biggest challenges in Indian governance is departments working in silos. You talked of government financial regulations, when is the finance, the quality assurance, the testing, all of that. As a policy advocate, as far as SIDM is concerned, have you come up with any specific policies that you have proposed to the government to ensure that there is more communication and seamless coordination between departments as far as acquisition is concerned?
So one of the key words which we have been using is that if you really want to unshackle the so-called animal spirit in this particular business, you need to break down the silos. Now, let me take you example back to, as a nation we can do it. Firstly, we can do it.
We can.
If you go back to COVID times, I'll give you 2 examples which are referring to defense industry. A company like ours got PESO license, which is for explosives and pressure vessels, in less than 90 days. In a normal time, this departmentalized issue of this license takes anything between 2 to 3 to 4 years. So we know how to break down silos. Question is, in the normal, when the business is as usual, all the silos are very strong.
Yeah.
They
It's
are
all
all-
emergency
they are all-
procurement.
So we need to find a way, how do we make them permeable? How do we create doors if we can't break down the walls? So that the communication takes. Let me give you one more example. You know, there was a time when I can make a mention of the name. Amitabh Kant was the DPIT secretary. I remember a meeting held where I attended that, and it was done under PMO during that period. And everybody said, you are giving us license with a validity of 2 to 3 years. By the time it is issued and by the time I respond to RFP, my acquisition cycle is 7 years. My license is 2 years. So he said, what do you want? We very, bravely got up and said, why can't it be made 5 or 10 years? He said, made it for perpetuity. Why are you asking for 50? 10. So if we want, we can come out with that. Now take a look. It was made for 15 years.
That's a defense license, defense manufacturing license.
But problem. Nowhere from somewhere, all the items got into SCOMET, which went into arms category. Now arms category is no longer with DPIT and MOD. MHA also comes into it. And now that problem which was there previously, now is coming in another avatar. So we are very good at creating silos. But we need to continuously find ways to create those.
Why does it always have to be an emergency procurement for something to happen?
Exactly.
Why does it have to be COVID for something to happen?
This is the answer which I always give to my friends in uniform. In emergency procurement, you are able to do trials, RFP, procurement in 12 months' time. What is different? Are you not testing the equipment? They all are testing. So if you can do it in 12, a routine standard procurement, at least we should be able to do in twice the month time.
Yes, sure. So I need to take a break here. Don't go away. We are in this lovely and informative discussion on India's procurement policy in defense sector. Also, what reforms are likely to come in with Rajinder Bhatia, the president of SIDM. Don't go away.
So, when I was in the army, I opted for going to Mount Everest in the year 2008. I was selected also. But then, because of my unit commitments, I could not go to the mountains. It's really very, very too much of exhaustion, mental as well as physical. And you are totally, you feel very lonely there because you are the only one, and that complete mountain is snowbound and you cannot see anything else except for you and your Sherpa. When I was coming down from summit, I sat down on one of the rope. I thought that I'm taking rest, but my pulse was going down. My Sherpa said, ma'am, you cannot sit, you can't sleep here. Sleeping means you are dying. And next day morning when I was coming back from camp 4 to camp 3, I saw a dead body. So when I saw at the dead body, it was Bishnoi's dead body. So it shocked me. I mean, I was in total shock and in tears that this boy who used to teach me all the lessons, and today he is here because of one mistake.
Welcome back to BharatShakti Dialogue, and we are in conversation with Rajinder Bhatia, President of SIDM. So, Ravi had a question before I come to you.
So, coming back to infrastructure development, what kind of industry support or are you pitching to build infrastructure? Because it seems to be that it's a government domain, only government can develop the infrastructure. Private sector, as far as industry is concerned, they are not pulling themselves to that level.
Little tricky question with little minefield, but I'll try and answer to best of my ability. There was a study which was taken up 3 or 4 years ago, where one of the leading advisories in India was asked to find out a process of creating infrastructure, testing infrastructure with the help of private industry or public sector industry. The whole thing was that we need this testing infrastructure, and if industry can become party to it. All the same, this was being done under a clause which was non-profit. Now, you see, one of the biggest problems, it's not that we are going after profits, but at the end of the day, private industry is run by shareholders, and we are answerable to our shareholders for every investment we make. Now, this will look like a very flimsy argument for many people. Okay, if you are wanting to sell equipment, why can't you create your infrastructure? So let me take the second part. Now, there is 2-3 types of infrastructure which can be put up. There is the infrastructure which can be put up in small areas by people, and there is a large-scale infrastructure with testing ranges is practically out of possibility for any private industry to do. Where will I get 40 kilometers of land in this country? And even if I get it, how can I buy it? Tell me. So even government with all its might, with all its machinery, finds it difficult to replicate some of the long ranges. So that certainly cannot come into my domain. But if you're looking at environmental chambers, if you're looking at certain electronic testing, why not? There are a lot of industries which have already created this setup. We do not need to go for these 2 government labs. But the second part, which is more important, is as far as possible, in the interest of the equipment not being, there could be vested interest if
not
you are
being compromised,
owning the infrastructure, testing infrastructure, it should practically be always a independent.
Separate
So
vertical.
we need to take a look. If we are moving into, we were the already 4th largest economy, as we are saying, will become 3rd in the next 18 months or 24 months. Then we have to start thinking like a big country. And where is the problem if we need, say, 10, 20, 30, 40,000 crores in testing infrastructure? I am sure we can afford it.
So you want to get rid of that non-profit clause.
So if non-profit was not there, there were many people who could have joined in at least for smaller infrastructure or bought a small stake in.
And in fact, let me put this thought also on the table, that even other smaller countries in the neighborhood and our friendly countries might want to even come and test.
Nitin, you are 100% right. Even today, Singapore tests their guns in.
Exactly, in Devlali. Yeah.
So it is not you. And India does offer some of the best place for testing. You have got coast all around, you can, but also I must tell you, modern testing infrastructure will need many things. You will need laser guns, speed guns, you will need radars, you will need pressure chambers, temperature chambers, you will need electronic EMI, EMC testing, because these are all current requirements of the. So some of these areas, yes, I am sure industry will come forward and start. I know for some private industry which has already set up EMI, EMC chambers, they are temperature chambers are no issue. Almost everybody has got.
Yes.
But key point is that it should be independent. It should be on a third body. And that reminds me, there are many things which can be done by a third party.
Correct.
Even in acquisition.
It need not be
it need not be me or him.
Yes.
Or me or that. It could be a third party.
So that actually gives me a cue to ask you, in this year of defense reforms, the MOD must have set some parameters and some objectives for itself, and would have shared this with the industry, with SIDM, through SIDM, I'm sure. So what do you think will be the highlight of the defense reforms, transformative defense reforms, if one has to call it?
So, if government has set a particular goal for that, has not been shared.
Okay.
But the fact is that they have created a separate body for it. Mr. Apurv Chandra, who was involved in DAP
former DG acquisition.
Former DG acquisition. He was also responsible for making the policy for Maharashtra government.
That's
I was with him at that time. So he is fully knowledgeable about it. Question is, how far are we able to go into getting into the, these kind of transformative reforms? If we take a look at the delay points and try and address them, I think we would have done our job. Just take a look. Why should, after CNC is completed, why should the contract take any time? Why can't that contract be signed in 1 day or 7 days at the most? Because contract is standard terms. This contract should have or is being included as part of RFP today. So this should be done immediately.
Right.
So, but these are the delay points. Secondly, there are a lot of areas where there are delays which are still not, when it goes to various committees. There's a EPGA, Eminent Persons Group, which takes a look. Technical Oversight Committee, which takes a look.
There is an integrity
Integrity
pact.
So we need to, and my last point is, if there is a major contract and there is a large Indian company, we are under Indian law. There are a lot of things which can be taken by our assurance of warranties, corporate warranties, guarantees, which we are offering. So why not? And last point which comes up is that foreign vendor is permitted to give what is called COC, Certificate of Compliance. Whatever cannot be tested because of reasons, he gives a COC which says Certificate of
And which is
Compliance.
accepted.
Which is accepted. So accept for us.
Correct. So it should be
No,
the
it's
same
not a-
standard. Same standard.
Not only that, he gets paid the moment his pre-delivery inspection is over.
PDI, yeah.
PDI.
And you are not paid.
So,
So we are, after PDI, we have a JRI. And JRI is only supposed to count numbers.
just explain JRI to the viewers.
Joint receipt inspection. After pre-delivery inspection, which is done in premises factory, we are supposed to seal up, pack up, give a invoice and road a bill, and the equipment is supposed to move to one of the depots of the Indian Army. Now there is a JRI, joint receipt inspection, that whatever you have shipped has reached there. I can assure you there are times when JRI is taken months.
Yeah. So that builds into the delay actually.
And these are all expensive and
Yeah.
So not only that, then thereafter a vendor, foreign vendor, would get paid by a line of credit, which means PDI done, all the document in place, he gets payment. In my case, I have to get all these documents and take
Submit
it to
it.
CDA under a file, and which can take its own time. I will not comment on it, but
Yeah.
you can understand
that's
the
true.
implication of that.
so payment has been major nagging point with the industry.
This is a nagging point more from the point of view of MSMEs and smaller companies.
And which you represent. I mean,
Which
most
I
of the time.
represent. 75% of my, we have
Members.
770 members now, and almost 500 MSMEs. And the biggest pain point today is that
Cash
item
flow.
has been sold, it has been accepted, payment is taking its time to
Yeah.
come.
So I think that's where the government will look into it from
So
what I
they
know.
will look at many things. And one thing, everybody is a professional. The man who comes, joins uniform is a professional, specific. We have people for various corps. We have even a JAG corps, which is a Judge Advocate General branch.
Yeah, legal branch.
But we don't have no acquisition cadre.
Yes.
So you are demanding it?
Of course. See, it is always good to deal with people who are
Trained.
professionals and trained.
Trained.
Much
Exactly.
easier.
What kind of body it should be
This
called?
is for them to decide.
decide,
They're not for me to. But my point is, why can't we have a cadre of 100 odd people? And most of the countries in the world do have a acquisition cadre.
Yes. UK, even UK, which is
has,
small,
France
has
has,
an acquisition.
South Korea has.
And it has a mix of uniform people, civilians.
This acquisition cadre will do wonders to the system.
You need an adjudicated body, right?
Not adjudicated. This is like a cadre.
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 It's like a cadre.
So they will come here, they will give 3, 4, 5 years. Right now, one of the biggest problem is, especially in with Army, Navy does spend 5 to 7 years and try to bring them back to the same particular job
Stream,
in
yeah,
acquisition.
same stream, yeah.
But Army does not. Army generally gets people only for 3 years. 1 साल रनिंग में निकल जाता है, 6 महीने पैकिंग में निकल जाता है. So 1.5 years.
That's true.
There is no uniform.
No.
So it is in the interest. People should be very good with the contract management. They should be able to understand.
It's a
they should
specialized
understand
job.
things. It should be a specialist job. This is a reform in the correct direction. You know, you need people who are
Specialized people, basically.
You're spending 2 lakh crores per year. You should have a cadre to do it.
No, it's everywhere else. It's there. So they will think about this. But before I sort of conclude, any other thoughts by either of you have?
Since you're president SIDM, I was just, and you're also, you mentioned earlier about exports. So, would there be any kind of changes you would suggest, recommend, that in the times of war or conflict which is going on in the world, should India be allowed to sell to whoever is looking?
So, India's stated policy on defense exports was that we will avoid selling it to areas of conflict, which predominantly meant only one, which was Russia-Ukraine. We have stayed away from it so far. Even if the exports have been done, it has been done to those countries with a very clear end user certificate that this is required for their own use. If we were allowed to sell, the figure of 23,000 crores could have been 40,000 crores. Whether we should change is not for us to comment.
It's again a government decision.
It's a national policy, and I think we'll respect. If we believe we are a strong nation and we are able to keep the path with equidistance, and that is our policy, so be it.
Yes.
We will abide by that, 100%.
There's enough scope for other
There's enough
countries to
scope,
export.
and it's perfectly all right. So if today's what we have been told, but something else which can promote exports, I can talk. One is that you would have seen that large deals which have happened are generally government to government. So what you need is you need a structure, or you need a platform for this kind of deals. I think this is a work in progress.
We had spoken about this earlier once in one of our conclaves, where we had said that there should be a body, export body, which looks after government to government deals and something of that kind to other nations, friendly nations. Something of that kind.
Today, if you take a look, everybody in MEA and everybody in defense is ready to promote exports. They are going out of the way. In the morning meeting, the secretary for Gulf came and he was not even required to be there, but he still said, let's see what we can do together. So there is a positivity, but a structured approach to this will go a long way.
Absolutely.
Second is, India is no longer a small economy.
Correct.
We are talking about $4 trillion. We are talking about, there are countries, 50 countries will not even come to 4 trillion today in this country, even if they were all put together. We should have a separate line of credit, which should only be defense oriented.
Absolutely.
We have enough lines of credit, but they are all mixed today.
They are mixed, and on defense are very few, 1 or 2 or 3.
And that also are under that same line of credit.
Same line of
So
credit.
he applies the rules of other sales to, which means tender,
For trade.
open tender for a particular product. Defense products are not on open tender. They are more strategic sales.
Sure. That's
So that is the point number 2. And third is, I think a lot of things are happening, but we need the Exim Bank to be little more active. And they got enough business. There's no problem. The business is very good.
Exim Bank recently opened its branch in Brazil for South America defense.
No, not they. They haven't opened a branch for defense so far.
They
don't even have a desk for defense, according to my
Exactly.
No, because that was supposed to be inaugurated during PM's visit when he was in Brazil.
No, but that would be a normal Exim
Normal
Bank.
Exim
Nah, it was the reason that they gave was that they
The
are doing it
deepening
for
defense ties.
Correct.
But as for my knowledge, and I think I am not wrong,
You're open to
open to be correction. There is no desk in Exim Bank for defense,
which needs to be corrected.
which needs to be done. Because this was the request. I met the MD of Exim Bank and had a long discussion. And this was one of our recommendations, that have a separate desk for.
No, which is a very valid point, I think. They say.
Because they're the ones leading the
exactly.
kind of credit. and-
Finance is with them. anyway,
Yes.
so Nilanjana, your thoughts?
We need a strong military. Every country, every nation needs a strong military so that there can be peace, right? But in today's world, it's so unstable, and we are in crisis in so many parts of the world. How do you, as not just an industry body president, but as an Indian, as a former soldier, what are your thoughts on how India sees itself in this world? You have a Russia, Ukraine, you have what's happening in Gaza, you suddenly come up with a Thailand, Cambodia. So what, as an Indian, where do you see yourself?
So leave aside those 4 days of Sindoor. I think in an unstable world, we are sitting in a very stable country.
Yes.
And that is the comment not made by me, it's made by a very senior foreigner. You are sitting in a country where nothing is, upheavals happening, there's nothing.
No chaos.
You are no chaos. You are sitting in a country without chaos. But your first question was a little more tempting, and I would like to answer that. What is the expenditure of Israel on the 12 days of Iran war? Their own official records indicated an expenditure of $6 billion.
In 12 days.
In 12 days. The expenditure between Russia and Ukraine till last year, because this year data hasn't come, was close to $400 billion. 37% of Ukraine's GDP has gone to war effort. In Russia, it is much smaller because Russia's base was much bigger. So first part is, fighting a war is going to be a very costly phenomena for any country. So what is the next alternative? Avoid war. And how do you avoid war? You should be so strong that nobody comes to you with a war.
Exactly.
Who has ever declared war on the United States in last 30 years, 40 years? No one. Because they are strong enough. They may have gone somewhere, but nobody's come to their shores. So I totally agree with you. We need this vibrant military industrial complex, a complex which should be at par with all the nations of the world, and that is what will ensure that we do not have to fight a war.
And
if you're strong.
And to take 2 points from, I mean, 2 answers, 1 point each from 2 of your answers is, if you're self-sufficient, if you're Atmanirbhar, then you also save a lot of money, and you also don't need that much money to become strong.
No, there is also advantage in Atmanirbharta. You're building a manufacturing in the country. You're giving a multiplier of 6 to 7 in manufacturing.
Yes.
For every one job created in defense, you create 6 to 7 multiplier in tier 2, tier 3. So this is extremely advantageous. Have you ever heard anybody in last a few years talking about, there used to be a debate between defense budget and welfare budget.
Between guns and butter.
Guns and butter. Nobody talks about it. Because guns budget is actually providing butter to millions of the people. Because it creates a industrial complex which is most beneficial.
Exactly. So that's a great point on which to end this conversation.
Their industry. You always talk about we should look for services, your grievances. Industry's grievances to us, services always look for foreigner weapons and all the weaponry. They should look back to a domestic industry. On what is your take on that?
Firstly, there is a sea change in the thought process. I don't think services are really looking at foreign equipment right now. When you talk to them, they say we would like this capability to be within the country. In fact, the stated statement is you cannot win wars with others' equipment. You have to win your wars with your own equipment. And this is the general feeling which I have got. And this is a major change in last 2 decades.
And post-op Sindoor, I think it's
post-op
further
Sindoor,
reinforced.
it is even more. They say, but if you have to fill your voids of technology, if you have to fill your voids of capability, by all means. But issue should be that it should be only focused on that. Otherwise, encourage your own industry to come up. Not only you will get support in the times of crisis, you will also get a better pricing and better products.
That's true. So I think, that the key point here, the takeaway in the last answer that you gave is that Indian industry has a bright future, Indian defense industry, but it must measure up to the quality and the standards that are required for winning wars which will be thrust upon you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And hopefully they will not be thrust upon you because we'll be strong enough.
We'll be strong enough. That's like what she said. So I think on that note, I must end this conversation. Thank you very much. We had a fascinating discussion on this. Please do tune into BharatShakti YouTube channel. We'll keep bringing such interesting discussions which are informative and which are forward-looking as far as the defense sector is concerned. For the time being, it's goodbye.